Hi, this is JP Morgan. Today on the Slanted Lens, I've got Dwight Taylor here with me.
Yes, sir.
Oh, at ease there, soldier. So let's get to it. Let's look at the 3 ways to determine what the power setting should be on your strobes in order to match it to the aperture you've chosen when you're balancing strobes with sunlight. Let's get to it. Special thanks to Professional Photographers of America for sponsoring this video. In a previous video, I broke down my very simple equation for balancing strobes with sunlight. There's a simple formula. Choose your aperture for creative reasons, set your shutter at 1/200th of a second, balance your strobe power, dial it up and down until it matches the aperture, and then start opening up that shutter until you like the background, the way it looks, and that integrates those two together, and then shoot away. It's a very simple equation. You should go back to that video and reference it, because what we're going to talk about today will help build on that foundation. The part of that equation that some people have had a little bit of a hard time with is, how do I determine the power setting of my strobe in order to balance that to the creative aperture that I've chosen? When I say creative aperture, what I mean is I've chosen an aperture for creative reasons. Shallow depth of field, deep depth of field. 2.8 if I want a shallow depth of field, nice bokeh. f8 if I want a deeper depth of field because I'm shooting a family. Okay, so here's the setup. I've got a softbox, and I generally put the face of this softbox about 6 feet away from my person, from their face. That's generally where I set things up. Most people work in this kind of area within 5 to 6 feet with their light. You don't set this light out 8 and 10 and 12 feet. It's too far away. It becomes less efficient, becomes more hard. If we want to wrap it all, it's going to be in fairly close at about 6 to 5 feet away from our subject matter. So now that I've got my softbox set, what's the easiest, fastest way for me to be able to determine what the power setting should be on my strobe? Well, it's using a strobe meter. It's just a flash meter that has a strobe setting on it. You can use either ambient or strobe. I've got this set to strobe. I've already determined my camera settings. I'm at 100 ISO, I'm at f8, and I'm at 200th of a second. I want f8 to be my aperture. So now I need to balance the strobe power to f8. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put my finger on the button of my trigger, and then I'm going to come up here and I'm going to aim my flash meter straight back towards the camera. I leave the bulb out, I aim it straight back towards the camera, I make sure I'm not in the way of it, and it's at f11. So I'm too hot. So I'm going to dial my strobe down on my trigger, which is what's so nice about the FJ400. And using the trigger from the camera, I can now just dial this down 1 stop. I'm going to go down a stop and about a third. Now I'm going to take another meter reading. F8, that's exactly what I want. Now I can shoot away. So do a couple of shots at F8 here. Here we go. So that's the easiest way to determine what the power setting should be on your strobe, and that is using a light meter. You just dial the power up or down until you get the power output at his face to equal whatever aperture you have chosen, and then you can shoot away. What's the second way you can determine what the power output of your strobe ought to be? You know, the easiest for me is I've just done this enough that I take a good guess. I know that my strobe or my softbox is about 5 feet away from my subject matter. I know on full power for a 400 watt second strobe head with a softbox, I'm going to be about f8. If it's got a baffle in it, I may be a little less than 8, but it's probably going to be about f8. So I just simply set my camera at f8. I take a shot. Dang close. I mean, it's dang close. So do a test. Put your box about 5 or 6 feet away from your subject matter. Your box, the way you like to set it up, put it on full power, and just start going through the apertures until you hit the aperture that looks exactly right to you, and then know that's your go-to setup. That's a quick way to do it. You don't need a piece of equipment to be able to accomplish that. Just use the knowledge you have because you've tested your strobes a couple of times and you know about what that's going to be. That, I think, is the fastest way. That's the one I use all the time. Hey Morgan, do you think pushing that shutter button is 90% of photography? Well, it's not. It's more like 10% of photography. Business is 90% of photography, and that's why you join an organization like Professional Photographers of America. They got great things like insurance. What if someone steals that camera? Well, there you have it. They also have excellent education where you can earn degrees and to be able to progress, have people look at your prints, events and webinars where you come together to learn from each other, great business resources where you have contracts and the different business tools you need to run your business, excellent marketing tools as well so you can market your business and help it grow. That's the kind of support that you need. That social network is super important as well because you come together with other photographers. You can become like me. I can become like you. And you also have a magazine they send out each month to keep you up to date with what's going on in the industry. And they have a telemedicine, another telemedicine. You can call in to be able to get the medical advice you need for a couple of bucks a month. It's very, very inexpensive. So Professional Photographers of America, all the things you need to do to be able to run your business. Join now with the link below and you'll get $25 off your membership. So what's the third way to figure out what your power output should be on your strobe? Well, it's a really dumb way. And it used to be used in every Walmart, Kmart, Penny's photo studio. It's a piece of string. Once you've set this up once, and you know that from the face of this to your subject matter, it's F8, then you cut a piece of string, you tape it to the front of your softbox, and then you cut it off. Now, every time you set it up, put up your softbox, have your talent hold this at their nose, move the softbox back and forth to where it's at the right distance, and now you can shoot away. People do this in the studio all the time. Used to, when you have novices working with your equipment, just tape a piece of string on there and you go, when this string is at the person's face, that's F8. I don't suggest this one, not a great idea. You're beyond that, you're bigger than that. But the one that is the easiest truly is the understand enough about your equipment to know that at full power, about 5 or 6 feet away from your subject matter, is going to give you a certain aperture. That's your go-to setting. And do that every single time. And then you can make adjustments from there depending on your creative decision about aperture. This is exactly how much depth of field you want, but you know exactly where to start. Set it up, start with that, and then make your adjustments, and then you're ready to go. So there you have it, 3 effective ways to determine the power output of your strobes when you're trying to balance it with the creative aperture you've chosen when you're outside working with strobes and daylight on location. So leave us a comment.
Jay, attention, forward march.
Keep those cameras rolling.
What was that, Private? We need to hear that louder.
Keep those cameras rolling, sir.
And keep on clicking.